So I met Paul, we did one of these workshops in Sydney at Rooty Hill. Paul came along, nagged me to have a few words, and he was terrific. And he's got an extraordinary story. But what I really want to thank you for is breaking your daily routine and coming up here, flying up, you know, having our driver busted yesterday. He sorted it out for us. And really appreciate you coming all the way. Paul Lawrence. Do you want to sit down? Would you rather sit down or stand up? Sit or stand?
The others don't mind, I like the spotlight.
Do you want to sit?
Actually, turn it round and I'll sit on the back of it.
Do you want a stool?
If there's a stool, I'll have one, yeah. Sort of way things is, life's just different for me. All right, we've got a lot of people here talking facts and figures and all that. All I'm here to talk about today is just my experience, okay? So first off, I'll give you my background. I'm 54 years old in a couple of weeks. Relevant information, I've smoked pot all my life. I've got a university degree in sports science. I ran my own company successfully for 20, 30 years, all while smoking pot. So I've sort of always been aware that all the mad media sensation around it all it's not true. Nothing I was told about pot translated to anything that occurred in my life ever. Okay, so I was an industrial roofer. I developed a bad back over years of roofing, and for the trade of roofing, everyone's got a bad back pretty well, so I really didn't realise the degree of damage that was getting done to my spine. What was actually growing was, we found out in 2010 that I had a disease called chordoma, a type of tumour that only grows from your spine, particularly. When they initially found the tumour, they say it was about the size of a football. Prognosis was you're going to die in about a month. Fortunately, I was recommended to a doctor in Sydney, and though a lot of people appreciate my aspect of this story, for me, the doctor in Sydney is the hero out of this. I walked into his office, he said, "We need to remove 3 vertebrae from your spine." And I looked at him and said, "So what, I end up in a wheelchair?" He says, "No, this is so you don't end up in a wheelchair and so you can continue living." Well, you know, losing 3 vertebrae out of your spine was just all too bizarre for me, but just don't worry, she'll be good. But the more I talk, it's what I'm going to get through to you is about pain. That's what I'm here to talk about. That's what I'm learning to deal with. Anyway, back to my story. So, to save my life virtually, I had 3 vertebrae removed from my spine. I went through 2 21.5-hour surgeries. First surgery, they chopped 5 of my ribs out, grafted those into my back. Second surgery, they took a bone out of my leg and also put that in my back. Got 60 odd pieces of titanium. I've had bits cut off left, right and centre. But
Too high?
stop worrying about me, Jesus. People treat me like I'm their grandmother now, and I'm over it, you know. I've learnt to live with what I have, and the key thing is I've only learnt to live with what I have in the last 12 months since I stopped taking painkillers. Because before my surgery, I spent, I don't know how many years, 5, 6, 7 years taking Panadine Forte every day. I was still working on roofs and dealing with the pain. After they did the surgery, after it had been such an extreme surgery, when I left the hospital, I was told, well, from what we've done to you, your worst danger probably for the next few years is you've had ribs removed, so you fall down, you could puncture your lungs. You don't sleep well, so you need to take sleeping pills, and you're in pain, so you need to take painkillers. And I just accepted that. I thought, yes, I do need them, because that's how we're trained. That's what we're educated to believe. So I went home from the hospital and I took the painkillers. The doctors were always proud of me, and I took pride in myself, because I always, whatever pills they'd give me, I'd see what effects it'd have on my body and see whether it was having good, bad effects. You know, some things make you twitch, some bizarre side effects from some of the medications I took here and there, but I always limited the medications I took, and I thought I was doing pretty well doing that. But what was occurring with me when I first started taking, I was taking endone, I was taking tramadol, I was taking Valium, so 3 medications a day in various doses. After a few months of taking these, to start with, it happened once every 2 months or so. I'd just call it a toxic meltdown. I'd just start off with a headache. I'd end up being violently ill, spewing, dry reaching, not able to get out of bed. And I accepted this as part of the way life was now, you know what I mean? This kept occurring and they started getting more and more frequent until in the end, June the 15th last year, I woke up, I couldn't get out of bed, I was vomiting, I couldn't take my child to school. He had to stay home and look after me for the day instead of me doing the right thing and looking after my child as the world says it is, you know, and it just wasn't right. It lasted 36 hours. And when I got out of bed, I looked at my partner and I said, I've got to stop taking these pills. I'm not functioning in life any longer. So I don't recommend it to anyone. I just stopped. I didn't take any more pills after that day. Just on a sidetrack for one moment, I keep hearing the side effects about, oh, what's the side effects of marijuana? What's the side effects of marijuana? Well, I've used marijuana for 40 years and I'm yet to find side effects. I sleep well, I eat well, I walk around with a pleasant smile on my face. Anyway, I keep hearing about the side effects of cannabis, but the side effects of these pills they give us, they kill you. There's no more relevant argument than that. And the disgusting crap they put me from, when I stopped taking them, I was 2 months of sweating profusely every day, not sleeping at night, having gastric. I don't recommend to anyone else to stop cold turkey. You've got to have a fairly strong constitution to get through it. My partner even suggested I don't do it. My reasoning was, if I cut myself off them slowly, it's going to take months, and I haven't got months to bugger around, so I just stopped. It was a month or two of crap, but after 2 months of not taking them, the irrelevant moment, after 2 months of not taking the painkillers, I walked down on the veranda one day, and I looked at my partner's push bike, and I thought, why the hell can't I ride a push bike? Like with me personally, because they've taken a leg bone out, that's one of my biggest restricting factors. I can only walk a few hundred metres and that leg aches and I need to rest. And I've tried building up different ways, but it just doesn't do weight-bearing activities. That's the beginning and end of it, so I need to learn to deal with that. So I've got limited mobility, but riding a bike is not weight-bearing. I looked at the bike and I thought, why don't you ride a bike? And I thought, well, I didn't ride a bike because the doctors told me I had to be careful because I might fall down and hurt myself and break my lungs. And I thought, you haven't fallen off push bike since you were 10 years old, Paul, unless you were drunk. You don't drink any longer, so since then I've been riding a bike. Apart from moving lots of bones in my body, they also disattach my latissimus dorsi, which rotates your shoulder, so I sort of can't really swim. But I'd been going to the pool with my son for 3 years and I hated it. I'd watch the other dads play with their kids and I felt like crying. I think, well, at least you're here with your son. But then a couple of months off painkillers and summer hit and I thought, well, I can't swim, but I can get in the bloody water. And I discovered through doing that, I can do a sort of a backstroke, which is also good exercise. So I can exercise, I can do things. All of these things I did not think I was capable of doing while I was on painkillers. They're just so destructive. I think what they really do, there you go, that's sort of what they've replaced my spine with. I'll give you a quick rundown. I've sort of one start. Around the outside here, that's my 5 ribs that they chopped out and screwed together with grass. Down the centre here, that's the bone out of this leg. That's my little acro-top, that's my spine collapse. They call it hardware. These are 9 little screws. Or do I need it? Sorry about that. No, it's all right. I'll just step away from that now. I just saw the picture up and I thought I'd show you. Yeah, so that gives you an idea of the bizarre way I've gone through life. So anyway, they removed these vertebrae from my spine. I go through these difficulties. And I think that I'm pretty well cured, all right? This is 2010 after the surgeries. 2012, I go back for scans. They find that there's recurrent tumours. So I'm back into hospital. Peculiar thing with chordoma, it will only attach to bone. So a bit attached to my hip, so they sawed a bit off my hip. They took a couple more bits out. I thought I was right again. Then over the next couple of years, it just kept occurring. You know, I got to the point over 4 years I'd had over 50 hours worth of surgery. And all through the procedure, they were trying to convince me to do radiotherapy. And I didn't want to do radiotherapy, but it wore me down, you know, just all the crap just wore me down. In the end, I consented to do radiotherapy. Another reason I was a bit adverse to the radiotherapy was I was told I had to have a mega dose of radiotherapy. The background I got to this was that, unfortunately, you have a very stubborn tumour. To treat it, we really need a really high dose. We have done this dose once before, and the guy's still alive 10 years longer. 10 years later, sorry, so I went with the positive attitude. If he lived through it, I lived through it. So I did go through the radiotherapy. We found after that there were still 2 tumours within my body. So at that point, I sort of realised that no matter how good my attitude is, no matter how good everything is, this is maybe going to get me in the end. So I started looking for myself, into my own health. And that's the key to all this, what we need to start doing. We need to start taking responsibility for our own health. And that's what I started to do 12 months ago. So what I started researching was cures for cancer. I came up with cannabis cures for cancer. At this stage in my life, I was still smoking regularly. I'd never really researched the curative effects and the medicinal effects, and I realised that probably the reason I was dealing with all my pain without taking the painkillers was I was still a smoker, and I'd always been a smoker. I've always been totally open with my doctors too. When I first saw my doctor, Dr. Mobbs, and he told me what had to occur, my answer to him was, well, I suppose I better give up drinking. And he said, well, it's not affecting your organs, not really. And I said, well, you know, alcohol's about the most destructive drug I know of, so I think if you're going to do this, I should stop drinking. I said, but I do smoke every day, and I'm not going to stop smoking. So he knew my background. Through the next 4 years while I was using the painkillers, I was constantly telling the doctors that the painkillers were okay, but if I smoked with them, they were really good. What I discovered after I stopped taking the painkillers was the pot was having just as good an effect as the painkillers were. Only what the pot wasn't doing was putting a cloud over my whole mind and my whole way of thinking and my determination and my willpower and everything. I can use pot every day and still be determined and still have attitude, still function in life, take my children to school, do the housework, I mow my own lawns. I couldn't do that on painkillers, and I can do that on cannabis. So what I've learnt in the last 12 months is there are just a lot of us that need to deal with pain. One of the reasons I don't feel sorry for myself about pain, I'm not really big on self-pity anyway, but you walk down the street, and I'm not the only person that walks really slow, you know. Half of the population out there is hammered with pain for some reason or another. So it's an aspect of life we're all going to go through at some stage, and we need to learn to deal with it. We need to learn coping mechanisms, we need to learn all sorts of things. Because sometimes I know how effective marijuana is. For me personally, I find effective forms if I smoke pot, immediate effect. The cannabis oil that I'm using, that has great effect. It also has a little residual effect because I've experimented with all the different types. If I don't smoke, there's just too much pain. I can't deal with that, so I figured out I need to smoke. I can only go a day or two without it. With the cannabis oil, it must have a little residual effect because I've tried off the oil and on the oil. Off the oil, I can last about 3 or 4 days, and then it must be all out of my system because then I don't start sleeping at night. So I've tried and tested, and they both work for me. I've found with many other people, edibles work really, really well. I've tried edibles, not for me. So that's what I mean. We know this works for pain, but different methods are going to work for different people. So we need to look at what we're doing with our own health and try different methods and see what particularly works for you. The other key thing I've learnt through all this is every aspect of your life goes into how much pain you're in. If you wake up one morning and you're just not doing well, don't run to the doctors and think, can you fix me? Look at what's occurred in your life in the last 24 hours. Has your diet been good? Was your sleep good? Did you have an argument with someone? Are you stressed? So many aspects of our life. If one of them goes astray, food, for example, you don't get your good diet in every day. That's going to affect your sleep. That's going to affect your pain. That's going to affect your mood. That's going to affect everything. And that's what we need to start looking at. Basically, as I said, I've got a degree in sports science. This is the most amazing machine in the world that has ever been created. It regulates itself, it looks after itself, if we give it the opportunity to. Now, none of my methods I think are going to kill me at the moment, but they're giving my body the best chance it can have at fighting whatever there is, whether it be pain, whether it be disease, whether it be anything. So what I've done in the last 12 months, I've tidied up my diet. I'm basically talking to the converted here. You know we don't eat sugar. We know we don't use the crap salt. We eat plenty of fruit. We eat plenty of vegetables. We cut down dairy. We use Greek yogurt. We use rice milk, or we use almond milk. We get hemp into our body any way we can. I use hemp seed in my smoothies every day. I also put leaf in my smoothies every day, as well as smoking, as well as using the oil. So I'm basically ingesting it every way I can that seems to be working for me, and that's also what we need to do. Another big part of my pain management strategy, so what I'm doing now just proves it. I've been absolutely hammered all morning in pain. I don't do cold environments very well. I woke up freezing here and I was absolutely rattled. My theory on pain, that sometimes it's always there. Sometimes I can smoke 20 cones and I'm still absolutely hammered. So we need to learn to manage it. It's about distracting your mind. As soon as you give in to the pain and say, well, it's all too much, I need to lie in bed and get over it, you don't get over it. You've got nothing to keep your mind occupied. You're just going to think about the pain and you're going to be worse. One day I was in bed, I was in terrible pain. My young son came in and he said, I looked at him, I could see something was wanting in his face. I said, what do you want? He said, I can see you're in pain, but I just wanted to have a game of soccer. And I said, no, come on, we'll have a game. And he looked at me, he said, didn't you say... I said, mate, I really think I can't be in any more pain. My legs still work at the moment, so I'd much rather be in pain kicking a ball around with you than lying in a bed, feel bloody sorry for myself and making the pain magnify in my mind. It's about distracting the mind. Since they call me disabled, but I think I'm quite capable actually. I'm on my son's school P&C. I'm a president of a fishing club, yet I don't fish, but my friends need a bit of organisation in their environment, so I help them out. It's all about doing whatever you can to keep yourself distracted. On the painkillers, you don't seem to have that much power over your mind to come up with these strategies and formulate plans to get over it. I come up with random theories. I have a theory. Before this happened to me, I've broken 15, 20 bones in my life. I was one of them kids they called accident prone. I was probably ADD before they knew what it was, but anyway. I've experienced lots of broken bones. I've experienced pain, and a couple of days after you break a bone, it doesn't seem to be that bad. You've not really done anything to it. Physiologically, from what I know, there's no reason for the pain to be less or worse, except that you've built up a slight tolerance to it. If you allow your body to keep building up a tolerance, you can build up a beauty. But as soon as you submit to these analgesic painkillers, that takes your tolerance back to zero again, and you've got to start over. I understand this to such a degree, even on days when I'm absolutely hammered. And I only have to walk into any doctor showing that picture and he will give me any drug in the world which I request. No doubt in the world. But I won't do it. It's not worth it. I'm not willing to go back to zero again and start all over the pain I was in this morning, if I was on painkillers, I wouldn't have been here today. I would have stayed in the motel and I would have felt sorry for myself and I wouldn't have coped. But with the mental strength that I've built up since I've put them pills away, I'm dealing with it. Okay, another part of my, this isn't a theory, this is fact. If you are in pain, you need to have a massage every single week of your life, okay? You need to find... Personally, I went with a Chinese masseuse. My reasoning behind that, the Chinese have had a system of medicine that's been going about 3,000 years. The one we're working on has been running 50 years under severe corruption, so I'm running with Chinese. I also was particular. I needed a Chinese masseuse who learnt their medicine in China. I'm fortunate the woman who does my massage learnt it from her mother in China. She's had horrific injuries in her life. She broke a femur when she was young. She doesn't limp, no arthritis, no anything. She does not understand why we put up with arthritis. It's not necessary. That's how good the Chinese medicine is. I had arthritis in my ankle from an old football injury. 3 months of massage and oil in my diet. You're never cured of anything, but you can alleviate the symptoms. I've alleviated all the symptoms, pain symptoms of the arthritis in my left ankle through using massage every day. Now here's the reason why everyone in pain needs a massage every day. When you're in pain, your muscles tense up. You don't sit in the correct position. You don't walk correctly, you don't stand correctly, you don't do anything right because you're in bloody pain. As soon as you're doing that, your body is out of balance. You're pulling other muscles, you're putting other bits out of whack. And these are all peripheral pains you really don't need. Go and get a massage every week. With me, my biggest problem is no one can massage the pain away, end of story. But every week she makes my legs feel so much better so I can walk really good again for 2 days. And we need to do that. If you just keep wearing the pain and you keep walking crooked, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Start getting massage, start getting them regularly and start looking after your body. I used to train first aid courses and I used to put a likeness to people and say, you all go down to the service station and put the top fuel in your car and then drive down to McDonald's and you put shit in your body. I don't understand. You can buy spare parts for your car. You get no spare parts for your body. We need to, and getting back to the running of the body, okay, we've been through massage. Diet is something that I learned, and I'm not going to preach diet because there are other ears that know more about it than me. For me, the way I look at my diet, what I do every day now, I rotate my fruit and vegetables as much as I can, and I've also got about 20 herbs growing in the garden, and I just go willy-nilly. So I'm getting a good variety and rotation of all the available things. As I said, giving your body the best opportunity. We're all individual here. What works for me doesn't work for you, and it doesn't work for you because it's me and it works for me. We need to look at ourselves, we need to look at the reactions our body have to these different things, and we need to figure out our own medical plans. We're asking a doctor who we've known for 2 years to tell us what's wrong with this body that I've known for 50 years. That doesn't make sense. We should be looking at our own bodies and just feeding them correctly, get the correct food into them, get massage into them. The other thing that I've been asked to talk, and I said I was going to say a little bit out it, 3 forms of energy our body gets. We get food, we get oxygen, we get sleep, okay? They're all so vital to each other, and once one's a little bit buggered up, then they all get buggered up. A little bit about breathing. We've got 2 organs on our face. The mouth is designed for eating, okay? The nose is designed for breathing. That's why we have hairs in our nose. That's why we have all these little passages to catch all the crap in the atmosphere. So use your nose for what it's designed for. When you breathe, breathe deeply in your nose. Breathe out deeply through your mouth. That keeps your lungs going. That's what our basic existence. Another thing important with the breathing is if you're having massage, you need to be breathing deeply while you do it. I'm very aware of my whole body, and as you breathe out that last little bit, that's when your body just totally relaxes and the good bits of the massage come in. So while you're getting the massage, don't just think about the massage. Get your breathing in tune with it. I don't meditate because I'm a bit hyper, but that's my own form of meditation. While I'm getting my massage, I just think about my breathing, Get your breathing in order, get your food in order. and then get your sleep in order. As I said, they all rotate around each other. Then start looking, if you're still having problems, start looking at peripheral aspects of your life, relationships. You know, I fully believe we should have a pet, we should have a garden. We need all these aspects of our life to be in order, to get it all in order. And we, as I said, it's all part of taking responsibility for your own health, your own life. For the moment, does anyone want to ask anything? I've had a few of my friends question me about the sugar, and I said, realistically, I have a lot bigger problems in life than my sugar content. Pardon? Not natural sugars. This is what I'm led to believe also, through reading it through the alkaline diet that I looked through. These are the foods that I'm happy with. As I said, from what I'm aware, it's the chemicals that we aren't getting naturally into our body. So, you know what I mean? I don't do my fruit shopping at Woolworths. That's another part of lifestyle. I stopped shopping at Woolworths and Coles when I started to get healthy. I go to the growers market at the local market where I get my fruit, so it is real fruit. So yeah, from what I know about health, I'm happy running with the fruit diet, to be honest with you. I still do have 2 tumours within my body. As far as I see, there are curative properties within cannabis, but there are so many other countries that are just so far ahead of Australia at the moment. It's an absolute bloody embarrassment, you know. We're attempting to do research in... I'm embarrassed to say how many research papers there are on this subject. You don't even need to know. Google it, it's there. So, as far as curative measures, I don't feel I'm in the position to be able to cure myself at this time. However, the lifestyle advantages that I've obtained through just stop, as I said, that's all I'm here to talk about, is dealing with my pain. And that's the best thing. My whole life revolves around my pain. I have to get a daily routine. I know how far I can walk. You know, if we're going somewhere, my day out is I go with the family, I walk for maybe 5 minutes and I find a central area and wait for them to come back. You learn to manage your pain the best you can. You know what you can do, you know what you can't do. But as I keep saying, that these mechanisms, you can't build them up when you're on the painkillers. You're on the painkillers, you resign yourself to the bedroom. You resign yourself to living in pain. My partner keeps reminding me that when I was taking the painkillers, so many days I'd melt into bed and just go, I can't do it anymore. I haven't done that in 12 months. On days that I have been a bit racked, I keep extra busy. And I go all day long, and at the odd times where you stop, you think about the pain. But as long as you're keeping busy, it's gone. The whole deal is just about distracting your mind, keeping your mind away from it. And people might say, oh yeah, but you've got such a big tolerance for pain. Well, I built it up, and we can all do it. Every single one out there. Well, at times, at one stage I was doing about 10 grams a day. But that was just, with me, it was all trial and error. And the reason I did that is, as I said, I've smoked pot since pre-teen, okay? So I've got a bit of a tolerance. I don't even get a buzz off the oil, which I find a bit disappointing, to be honest with you. Everyone else says, oh, I do this, and I go, I wish I did. So yeah, for a month or two there, before I went for my last CT scan, I upped my dosage as much as I could to try and just saturate the body and see whether we could do something with these tumours. So yeah, for a few weeks I was doing up to 10 mils a day. But at the moment, all I do is a drop of 4 whenever the pain's, probably 2-3 times a day. And then I smoke in between. And as I said, the oil doesn't have an immediate effect, so you only notice that it really does work if you stop taking it for a couple of days and sort of give it a trial. And I've given it a couple of trials and it definitely does work because I'm not going another 3 days without. Well, see, this is another... In the last 12 months, which is the first time this has happened, my tumours didn't grow. But is this the residual effect of the megadose of radiation, or is this a cumulative effect of the oils I've been using? Because everything in this country is not trialled properly and everything, even though I offered myself to everyone in the world, this could have been trialled, but, you know, these are the trials that we need, you know what I mean? So as far as the government trials go, I filled my paperwork out for that, and then I looked at the parameters and thought, you've got to be joking. Their parameters say that the amount of oil I'm allowed to have is 1 dose at a time. So what, I've got to go 3 times a day and get more? I tore the papers up and didn't hand them in. The government trials are smoke screens to try and say, well, we are doing something. We're not doing anything. It's, for my opinion, the best thing that's happened to this cause in a long time, which is really ironic because the money went to the wrong place, was this guy who donated 33 million last week. It did go to the wrong place, the research, but this person is an ex-financial planner. They're the sort of people that they listen to. Ironically, the state government came up with 12 million the next day for a cannabis research centre. So, you know, that's the way it is. I'm not holding my breath for any change. It will occur. It has to occur one day, but I'm not holding my breath. Yes? No. I reckon had I not been on the painkillers, I wouldn't have done it to start with. As I said, it took them 3 years to talk me into it, and I'm not easy to talk into things, but like eventually just so many surgeries, and then the cumulative effect of the painkillers just wearing me down and wearing me down and wearing me down. In the end, I went, well, all right, away we go, we'll do it then. But also in respect, the doctors who did it were so confident in this having a result, and like basically one of these doctors saved my life. You know, he was willing to do a surgery that had never ever been tried before. You know, how lucky am I to chance on that guy? Doctors don't do that sort of thing. He tried it, he pulled it off. So I've got implicit trust in these people. We have a pretty close relationship now. So with their enthusiasm, that more or less.
So what's the reaction to
Well, they showed on the interview I did on 7:30. It's hard because the politics of everything come into it. As I said, with my doctors, I find it easy because every doctor I've seen in my life, they say, what do you do? And I say, well, I smoke pot every day. I used to say, well, I drink pretty regularly. I've done trips. I've done blah, 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 blah. So you've got to tell them. If they're looking after your health, you need to give them all the information. So I've always been honest about it. And then as far as they're concerned, I've tried everything we can try. I've been chopped to bits. I'm a half a cyborg. I've been through a megadose of radiation. There are no more treatments available to me as far as conventional medicine is concerned. That's the beginning and end. So as far as they're concerned, well, if you reckon this works, mate, you try it. And I told them what I was doing. They both said to me, well, come back to me with the results. They didn't say, oh, go away. They said, come back to me with the results. But like even when I got the results back and it said they hadn't grown, to me, I wasn't even excited. Everyone else was going, oh, that's great, that's your best result. And I'm going, yeah, it's a bit like celebrating a draw. It's still bloody there. So I'm confident that what I've read, there are curative properties within this plant that may not be able to eradicate these tumours. But we're not in an environment in this country where I'm really satisfied that there are enough clinical environments around to provide the correct medicine at the correct dosage, at the correct time, blah, 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 blah. So, as I said, I'm satisfied that I'm dealing with pain better than I ever have. I have a better quality of life than I've not just had since the surgery, but since I had 5 years before the surgery. That was what got me through these surgeries so majorly. People think I deal with a lot of pain now. So when they operated, first words Dr. Mobb said to me when I walked in his office, he looked at the size of the tumour crushing my spinal cord and he said, "I really don't understand how you still work your legs." And the pain at that stage, I don't know, even on my scale, 1 to 10, it was like a 15. It was, to drive myself to work in the morning, I had to sit on the seat of my car, then put that leg in, then put that leg in, then drive to work, and then lift that leg out, and then lift that leg. It wasn't strength or anything. My nerves, I'd had sciatica constantly down both legs for years by that stage, and I really just couldn't use my legs properly. So I was in this enormous degree of pain. They did this enormous surgery that, to be honest with you, I'm the only person who thought I was going to survive the surgery. None of the doctors thought this is possible to live through. I just didn't see any other outcome, to be honest with you. So yeah, they've expected me to wake up in absolute agony, writhing in pain. I wake up thinking, oh shit, they've released the pressure valve. I can feel my feet again. Yes, my back's uncomfortable, but... So I was way ahead of where they expected to be. 21.5-hour surgery, 3 vertebrae removed. Because they'd never been near a surgery that long in this country before, 21.5 hours, they left me asleep for a full 24 hours after the surgery, so that's 48 hours later when they woke me up. After I woke up, it was only 3 days and I was walking, and I went home on the 8th day after they... My mates had come up to visit me the next weekend, and I just talked myself into getting out of the hospital. And yeah, the last thing they were waiting for was to pull the staples out of my back, and then the boys had come up to visit me. I went home with them. But my motivation was I had a young family at home, and I was at a family. We had very little support crew. I was doing a lot better than they expected me to be, and really at that stage I took control of my own health. The first day when I woke up after the operation, I was looking at pictures on the wall all the night before, and then I woke up, looked around the next morning, there were no pictures on the wall. It still didn't really register to me, and then I thought I'll close my eyes and get some sleep, and I saw all these colours, and I thought, you're tripping. I called the nurse in and I said, what do you got me on, what painkillers? She said, morphine. She said, why? And I said, because I'm hallucinating. She said, well, you're in immense pain. I said, yeah, and how do I get better while I'm tripping? That seems counterproductive to me. So I talked them into pulling the morphine out. So they just put me on an oral med. Once that cleared my mind, I looked down and I had a drain coming out of here, I had an oxygen mask, I had things around my legs, I didn't get deep thrombosis, tubes coming out of everywhere. And I just physically thought, if you want to get out of here in a reasonable amount of time, you need to physically work on this as hard as you can. So I picked a tube and I worked on it until they could remove that one. Then I'd work on another and get that one off. The physio came round on the 3rd morning and said, we need to make a plan to get you out of bed. And I said, that's great. I said, I'm ready. She says, well, we'll come back Monday morning and start. And I said, no. I said, you're here now. She sort of looked at me and I said, well, look, if I lie in this bed for a week, it's really going to hurt like hell when I get up. She said, yeah. And I said, well, if I get up now, it's really going to hurt like hell. Let's just skip a week of pain lying here doing nothing. And so, yeah, I physically got myself out of bed. And then everything in life, you can find the fortunate or the unfortunate sides. I tend to try and find the good side. Couldn't sleep at all while I was in hospital. They had an air conditioner right above my head. So while I couldn't sleep every night, every hour I'd get up and get my little walking frame and walk a little bit further than I could before, and then I'd go back to bed. And every morning when the physio came back, I could just do that much more. So after only 3 days with the physio, I was pretty well with walking without a frame any longer, and I'd teed it all up in my head. I was probably pretty scattered because by this stage I didn't sleep for about 4 or 5 days. Just quietly, also for pain relief, I took joints to hospital with me both times, and as soon as I could get out of bed, I was in the stairwell every night before sleep. So yeah, on about the 4th day of the physio, I said to her, I said, look, realistically with all the doctors, you're the last stop. If you're the physio, once I keep you happy, well, I can go home, can't I? She said, well, I suppose, they're all sort of going, well, you've been through this amazing surgery, you need to stay here a long time. I go, well, I don't. I need to get home because I'm not sleeping here, I'm not eating good here. If you let me go home, I will sleep better, I will eat better, I'll get better. So, yeah, She told me what I needed to do to tick her boxes was to get up a flight of stairs. So that night while I couldn't sleep, every couple of hours I did an extra stair, and when she got back the next morning I just said, I'm ready to go home. So yeah, a day or two it took me to talk doctors into letting me go home, but they found that as soon as the staples were out, there was no real reason, so I was let home at that stage. But yeah, through the whole lot, I took responsibility for my own health, and that's the message that I really got to get through to all of you, because the first thing I was taught doing a sports science, the only thing every human has in common is that we are all totally unique. We get in pain, they treat us all like a bunch of cattle, a bunch of shit, and we're not. We're individual. We need to look at what works for us. What works for me doesn't work for everyone, works for other people, and we really need to start looking at ourselves, looking at small changes in our body and where they lead to. As I said, a little bit of change in diet, that's going to bug your sleep, that's going to bug your everything else, that's going to put you in more pain than you need to be. If I miss a massage every week, if I miss just 1 week, it's no good. The rest of my body is just too out of whack, and I need to get that. So we've got to start looking at pain management systems, not I take a pill and the pain goes away. It doesn't ever go away. It's always there. But if you can keep ahead of it, if you can keep distracted, for a lot of people it'll be hard to take. For a lot of people hearing this who are still on pain meds, they're going to be going, no way. And I've said to a few of them, I said, to be totally honest with you, if you would have said to me 2 years ago when I was taking the tramadol and endone that you can get by without them, I would have said, no, I can't. No, sorry. I know how much my back hurts and I know I need these pills. So it's a battle, and I don't want to be too harsh on people that are taking these pills, because I realise they make you submissive. You submit to the pain, but you can do better without them. Cannabis does work for pain. I can't spout that it works for anything else, because for me personally I haven't tried it anything else, and that's all I'm talking about is personal experience. And because I'm so open, because I talk so much, a lot of my friends come to me for advice on this. People who are in pain, people who are in this, and I give the same recommendations. You know, you need to take responsibility for your own health, and you need to start looking at a plan with your whole lifestyle to get around it. It's about quality of life. You've got no quality of life on painkillers. Get them out of your system and you can start to build a quality of life, and that's what it's all about. According to the doctors, I've got a terminal disease. Yet for some reason, I'm the happiest person I know. I don't get it. Question? Yes? So that's another example of how we're all generalised. Doctors have to give you the worst case scenario. That they have to. And out of, I don't know why they have statistics in the world, they really screw things up. To make a small example, I travelled up here on an airplane. Airplane seats are made statistically. They take the biggest person, they take the smallest person, and they make the seat right in the middle. Doesn't fit anyone, doesn't fit the big bloke, doesn't fit the skinny bloke. And that's how we're treated when doctors diagnose us. They look at the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, and they have to tell you the worst. I've been told that many times that, sorry, but you're going to die. And I just said, no, sorry, I'm not done. Before the surgery, and I knew how serious, it's a world first surgery, it's major implications. After they've given me the relaxant, before they give me the knock me out drugs, Dr. Mobbs walked past my desk, bust my bench where I was lying on, and he said, he stopped and I said, oh, you've got to give me the last conversation, do you? And he says, yeah, well, that's our procedure. I said, all right, give me the worst case scenario. He said, well, the worst case scenario is, he said, you're less than 50% chance of surviving this operation. And I just looked at him and said, mate, you've got no idea. I said, you operate, I get better, that's the deal, mate. I said, I'm not dying on an operating table. If you ever accept their diagnosis, you probably will die at some stage. I'm not saying this attitude is going to win every time. Lots of happy people die and lots of miserable bastards live a long time. But if you don't put yourself in the best position, give yourself the best attitude, if you resign yourself to the diagnosis that they give you, well, it'll probably catch up with you in the end. Any other questions before I leave? Yes? Well, as I said, for me personally, the oil doesn't have the same high effect as smoking it does. But as I said, it's all an individual thing. So there are that many methods of ingestion. You can try it for yourself. Try edibles. There's a balm that's very effective with certain types of pain. Fresh leaf in your diet. Try every method you can, but try it for a few days, see if it's working for you. If it's not working for you, you need to try another method. Try that for a few days, see what's good for you. But there will be something there that will work for you. Yes? Well, as I said, I've always smoked. I had a child about 10 years old, and he knows I smoke pot. I've explained it to him, plain and simple. Mate, the laws in this country say that this is illegal. However, if I lived in another country, they'd say that's all fine, so don't do with it. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, mate, the laws in this country are pretty stupid, so I'm not going to worry about them laws. I'll do all the laws to say I'm a good citizen, but that one I'm not really going to worry about. So he's always known I've smoked. About 4 months after I stopped taking the painkillers, he just came up to me one day and he said, Dad, you're so much better since you stopped taking them pills. And that was sort of the moment I thought, well, I'm on the right path here. This is, you know what I mean? This is my life. This is my child. And even he can see the difference in me when I'm taking painkillers and I'm not taking painkillers. If a 10-year-old child can see the difference, we're on the right track here, people. Yeah, no, it's different all the time. But as I said, I'm only using it for pain. And as long as what I'm getting is effective each time, I mean, realistically, even knowing the percentage of how much actual cannabis oil there is to coconut oil in the mixture I'm having, then I don't know the exact THC, CBD content, and this is going to change probably with every dosage. So I don't see myself in exhausting myself with all this information, as long as what I'm using works for the pain and it's not having any negative side effects on my body. So that's all I'm really looking at. Yes? Poor man. Thank you very much. Yes. No, mate, it's been one of the good things. It's why I've never really worried about my diet. I've always been, you know, it's 60 kilos. That's me. That's my fighting weight. So I've always sort of been in the impression that I've checked my cholesterol regularly. That's why I didn't really worry about my diet too much. I was still healthy. I was still fit. Before they put all this hardware in me, I could go and run 10 Ks without training. Just wake up and, you know, that's my physique. That's the way I'm built. Sorry, I got sidetracked on that question there. Yeah, so food I've never... And what I have noticed since I've given up the pain meds, that's the one time in my life that my diet was starting to suffer. I wasn't hungry all the time. I'm hungrier now than I've been in a long, long time, so therefore I'm eating better. The pain meds just are destructive on so many sides. You know, as I say, one part of your life leads to another part of your life. And after a long period of always having an extremely good appetite, I started to go through a period where my appetite was waning. I was even getting down like in the 50-odd kilo marks, you know what I mean? I'm back up to my fighting weight of 60 kilos now, which is what I've always been. But as every day, my diet during the day, daylight hours, is just smoothies all day, because I can put anything I want in there. So whatever fruit, veggies seasonable at the time that might taste good, and then, as I said, fresh herbs from the garden, always leaf in there, always cannabis seeds in there. Then it's Greek yogurt and rice milk. I'm really big on mint because some of these herbs aren't that pleasant. Kale is supposed to be really good for you, but kale and cannabis combined in a smoothie is not good unless you put mint in there. So yeah, there's... Yeah, so again, all individual, we have different tastes, we like different flavours. What I don't like, you might like, but my diet is the best that it's been in ages, and I'm hungrier to go along with it. So after having my smoothies all day, I make 1 or 2 jugs of smoothies a day. There's probably 3 big glasses in each one. And when it comes to dinner time, I'm ravenously hungry, so I have dinner with the family and eat a normal diet from there on. Because it's another thing with distracting your mind for pain. When I first got home from hospital, I was in pretty good pain. I had a cut, just enormous wounds. And for the first day or two while I was laying on the lounge, my partner likes cooking, and she was making all these mad desserts and mad cakes. And for the 5 minutes I was eating it, there was no pain, because you just think about how yummy that food is. And it's a good indication of how much you can distract your mind with anything in the world to get it away from that pain. And food's a big part of our life. So yes, keep your diet, as far as I'm concerned, keep your diet 90% perfect. And then another 10%, you've got to enjoy yourself with what you really like for your personal taste and still have some of that quality of life, you know what I mean? We can't all be perfect in every, aspect. Perfect to human doesn't exist. So be 90% right with everything, and then allow yourself a bit of fun, a bit of freedom. Yes? Because, as I said, within the environment in this country, I'm never sure at the exact CBD levels, the exact THC levels that are required to fight my particular disease. Occurs 1 in 5 million people. So statistically, I could be possibly the first person in the world trying to treat chordoma with oil. So there could be some magnificent strain from South America that actually cures this, but we're not to know, because we're not, I don't feel I'm in an environment. I tried saturating with my body with it, as I said, for a couple of months before the tumours. They didn't go away, so I've resigned myself to the fact I've got plenty of years to bugger around with. So I'll treat the pain for a few years, and I'll see where this develops over the next few years. Hopefully this will develop far enough in the next few years that then I can treat myself. Yes?
Hello. You said that the cold bothers you with the pain. What kind of heating do you find works best? Like wood fires or gas or electric, or none of that helps?
I live in the city and we have an electric heater. But I'm big on hot water bottles.
Okay.
Really. Another individual thing. That's what I mean, whatever's good for you. My Chinese medicine lady gave me a little...
Put your hand up if you've got a question.
Little metal thing that you put a little heat bead in that gives off aromatic fume. I attach it to my hip, it puts heat through the area and also gives me... So for me, whatever method you can get heat in, you know what I mean? Like today, before this speech, I was standing out on the road going, I really can't even stand up straight anymore, so I ducked down to the embassy for about 10 minutes and just sat with my back in front of the heater. And as I did, I could feel the muscles loosening up and I could breathe properly again. And I stood up straight and it was wonderful. Down the back.
Yeah, g'day mate. Have you experimented with backdoor medicine?
No. With my heavy fruit diet, I'm far too regular. I just don't trust it staying there long enough to have any effect. It's another thing I've always found. I've heard of all these great properties that marijuana has. The one I've never heard about is it keeps you regular. Like, I grew up in the Illawarra in the 80s, and that was Hash City back then. You got out of bed, you had one hash cone, you went to the toilet. It keeps you regular. So with my fruit diet, with the cannabis in my diet, I can't do that. I know it's more efficient, but personally it won't work for me because too regular. Yes?
Yeah, hi. Are you actually eating meat?
Yeah, I have meat with dinner every night, but only a small portion of meat. I don't eat pork. I try to avoid the chickens because they're full of steroids. I'll have a little bit of lamb or a little bit of beef.
And eggs? What about eggs?
That's hard. I really like eggs, so not a lot of them though.
No. Just with regard to that backdoor method, I saw something on YouTube of a woman who'd cured her cancer, her stage 4 lung cancer, and she was injecting the oil anally because she couldn't handle the psychoactives, and that was working for her. So for anyone who was questioning that before.
Yeah, I have to say, from what I've seen and what I've researched, the people who are using it anally are having far better effects with the absorption rate into the body than we are taking it orally and letting it go through our stomach and the whole system.
Any other question?
All done? Going once?
No one wants the mic?
Are we done?
Thank you very much.
Are we done?
I'm done.
Hey, thanks heaps, Paul. He's going to be here, and everyone's invited out now. There's hemp seed burgers. There's great tucker out here. Kick those doors open, Al. There's really good food. But what I'd really like to emphasise now for half an hour or 40 minutes, if you've got questions, Paul will be there. Heaps of locals are there. This is a good time to meet and mix and talk to locals who've got a bit of experience. There's quite a few people out there who are making medicine, like that man with the glasses there and that other man next to him. There's a lot of people here with experience. Be game to talk. Come and ask me if you've got questions. I'll send you to the right man. Or woman. Thanks heaps.